Hi, I'm Scott Eveslage, Superintendent of Schools for the Hatboro-Horsham School District. First, I want to wish you all a Happy New Year and join you in hoping for happiness and good health in 2021. This update will provide you with the details about the unique guidelines and circumstances that we will be returning to when in-person instruction resumes on Monday, January 11th. As you recall, in late October and early November, we returned students to in-person instruction. This was then interrupted by a county-wide mandated closure just before the Thanksgiving break. Then, in early December, the district made the decision to transition to a fully virtual program through this Friday, January 8th. Now, this coming Monday, January 11th, we will resume that in-person programming that was in effect in November. All in-person services that were offered in November will resume, including transportation, food service, and all other in-person services. Our instructional programming will include full 5-day school weeks for our kindergarten students and hybrid programming for students in grades 1 through 12. The hybrid cohorts to which students were assigned earlier remain in effect. For our students in hybrid, Mondays will remain as a fully virtual launch day. And then our hybrid cohorts will be in person either Tuesday, Thursday, or Wednesday, Friday, depending on cohort placement. When we return, we will be doing so following the guidelines that we were issued as were all Pennsylvania public schools from the Pennsylvania Department of Education and the Pennsylvania Department of Health about the specific procedures that we must follow when returning students to in-person instruction and specific parameters that, when met, will prompt a school-based closure. It's important to note that these determinations are not potential district-wide decisions. They are school-by-school decisions. The district has been and will continue to track the active number of staff and students who are either quarantining and/or active positive cases. We work collaboratively with the Montgomery County Office of Public Health to determine contact tracing and quarantines. As you can see here, this is a dashboard that will be updated and can be viewed publicly on the school district website. It's currently accessible on the reopening page of the school district website. This image of the dashboard lets you see what the current numbers are across the district and in each building. The accuracy of these numbers is essential as we are obligated to monitor numbers of case counts and assess the status of each building. This data will help inform decisions about continued opening. There are 3 scenarios that could prompt a school-based closure. First, a confirmed case of in-school link transmission. That means that we are aware of and are certain that a student or staff member acquired the virus while in school. The second criteria would be if the school-based data reaches the established thresholds, and I'm going to explain that in a little more detail momentarily. The third example of what would prompt an in-school shift to fully virtual would be if there's insufficient staffing to operate. That would be what we would call a functional closure. Examples of this would be students or staff that may be required to quarantine but may not officially be a positive case. If the number of staff members who were quarantining put us at a point that we were unable to operate the building, that would be what we consider to be a functional closure. Now let me discuss the Pennsylvania Department of Education and Department of Health direction for schools. Here you can see that the thresholds have been established and are required to be followed by all public schools that are offering in-person instruction. You can see that there are small schools, medium schools, and large schools. These categories have been decided by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. We are responsible for tracking positive cases per site for any 14-day rolling period. Our small schools are Blair Mill, Crooked Billet, and Hallowell. Our medium schools are just Simmons, and our large schools are Keith Valley and the high school. You can see that if there are between 2 and 4 cases in any 14-day rolling period, that the school building would be required to close for 3 to 7 calendar days. If there were 5 or more cases in a 14-day rolling period in a small school, we would have to close the building for 14 calendar days. Now, if the school were to go into a closure, The school would of course be closed during that time. We would inform families, and then we would transition to virtual instruction during that time, and the count for that school would in essence restart. So you'd have to have 2 to 4 cases within a 14-day period at one of the small schools. We would close, the case count would restart for that school, but the 14-day rolling period for the other schools who had remained open would continue. So examples of this are going to be reflected on the dashboard. So as you check the dashboard, you'll be able to see for each school how close that school may be to a potential closure. Each school will be color-coded, green, yellow, or red, as far as how close they may be to a potential closure. And a reminder that when we use the word closure in this context, we're talking about the school transitioning to virtual instruction during that time, not closure and a shutdown of our programming, just a closure as far as whether in-person instruction will occur. So you'll be able to see on the dashboard both the positive number of district cases, the number of students and staff that may be quarantining. That will help us inform whether we're closing in on an functional closure, I should say. By looking at each school, you'll be able to indicate how close that school may be to a potential shift to virtual instruction. The dashboard will be updated for the day and made public at 4:00 p.m. on the website, but we will monitor case counts and quarantines around the clock, so these numbers could change rapidly. We'll make every effort to communicate with families about any short-term school-based closures before 8:00 p.m. on the evening before that day of school. Again, the pace at which we are made aware of positive cases or quarantines is unpredictable. So if events were to shift late into the evening, an early morning notification is possible. But please know that to the best of our ability, we will attempt to communicate before 8:00 p.m. if there were to be any change in programming for the following school day. I acknowledge that this is not ideal for planning purposes. There's potential disruption that we'll need to prepare for. Knowing this, which may cause challenges for families in finding child care arrangements. However, these terms are required by the state and are the only permissible conditions that in-person instruction can resume at this point. In the short term, we encourage families to check the school district website for specific information about their bus assignments, details about food service, the frequently asked questions about reopening public health metrics, and the district dashboard. And please reach out to the schools if you have any questions or comments. While we are receiving promising news about being in a better position to manage, respond to, and vaccinate COVID-19, we are very much in the midst of its presence. We all desperately want our students to have the type of school experience that they deserve. It's important we stay extremely vigilant and disciplined in following the health and safety advice of our public health professionals. Thank you, Hatboro-Horsham, for all you're doing to keep us moving forward through this challenging time. May 2021 bring us all better times. Thank you.